Collins, Coyne and O'Queill. To the Minister for Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, the need to prevent the destruction of heritage vessel Naomh Eanna. Deputy Humphreys, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Minister, you would have had seen the media coverage this week on the proposal of Waterways Ireland to dismantle the Naomh Eanna, and I've been contacted by a number of people in my own area in relation to this. This ship was built in Dublin in 1956 in the Liffey shipyards and was operated by CIE as the ferry to the Arden Islands from 1958 to 1988, and it should be mentioned only missed eight trips in that length of period. You may be aware of a similar ship that's currently outside the convention centre, the MV Arden, that was beautifully restored and now operates as a restaurant and bar in front of the convention centre. So this can be can be repaired. Minister, the boat has laid in disrepair in Grand Canal Basin for a number of years, and it's one of the last ships that was built in this country using rivets. So it's very much part of our heritage and a historical record, a history of both maritime and industrial. It would be a terrible shame if we lost this part of our heritage. What I'm asking for today is a 6-month stay grace to allow the Naomh Eanna Trust to come forward with a business plan to restore this boat, to allow it to take part either in the Grand Canal Basin, on the Liffey, or in Galway Harbour, where historically it's connected with each and every one of them. I believe it can be done very successfully. It would be a great model on how we could restore such a ship, and I would ask you to give that 6 months grace at this stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Deputy John Collins, 2 minutes.
Thank you for taking the question. I also heard this in the media and then received an email from Sam Field Corbett, and I thought it was an issue that should be taken up in the Dáil and even questioned, and my question is to give that reprieve for 6 months to allow some time for interested groups put forward a plan to restore the ship, because I think some of the points have been made, but from the email itself, and I was talking to Sam briefly, this iconic ship is one of the last riveted ships built in the world, and she retains many of our original fittings and machinery. Her engineering will never again be seen, and she represents an era of the nation's industrial heritage which people have long forgotten. Due to frustrating ownership issues, she has remained athletic and unattainable since 1986, and now there's a potential issue here where Waterways Ireland could dismantle her and put her in dry dock very quickly. I think there's a feeling among the community and also local councillors who tried to raise this issue and weren't successful in preventing this from happening. So I think there is an opportunity here, and it could be an asset to the community down there in the inner city, and I think also that it could be used as a tourist issue, the marine dock area, develop it as best it can. And I think there is an interest there from NAMA and the Irish Ship and Barge Federation as well. So I think there is various interests who would be willing to step in and try and create that plan over the next 6 months, an investment plan to actually restore her and bring her back to her beauty and what potentially she was. And I think it would be an awful loss to the city and to the nation if we lost her now.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy Sean Coyne, 2 minutes.
Gamarga Chan Corla Barlam, could you let Major Thorachig Macolaki, Modulation and about Naomh Eanna? Ta Shansagan Fos and Barge, Starul Shaw Howall, our son and Gloon to Tala Chak, the Group Irish Ship and Barge Fabrication Company, Giri Sluppa Kurdish and British August Plan Gno Kurla Keda. I'd like to agree with what has been said here prior to this about this boat. I think what we need here is a reprieve from the breaker's yard, and I would ask that you would do that. I'm not sure of obviously the boat is not in good condition. I'm not sure how safe it is, obviously, but I think it can be brought or should be brought to dry dock and allow the reprieve and allow time for this group and anyone else that might be interested in putting a business plan together to save it. I think the ship is one of the last of the riveted ships built in the world, and I think it would have great potential. I would love to see it as Deputy Humphrey said, in Galway Harbour or out in Ishmore or wherever else that you could be, you could bring her, and that would be great for tourist potential, great for locals alike. And I would again ask, along with my colleagues, that we get this reprieve.
Thank you. Deputy Éamon Queen.
John Corla.
Oh, no, but see.
Chadam, good millimat. Boilam, Corla made the right in the Chachti Elagus, because the Bacha Hawaii. Neither Sam will any other Chachal or Nahuida, a shoal at a mouth, a mouth, a shoal. Didn't the father when John Misha rainfall to it. I guess most criminal that they near some right lattery of good cheese, and I from the hinna like a sauce, and I to be a cocktail. A shamwad. Go stand down our fad, you wine, or have a quick dinner, Timo, activist, and quick studio, be sure Shandy dinner in yoke. Works the deal with body about this hard and go hard against his kind of August. Is other sauce of Humsa. Gorhonic the cave near Father Hogman and the Hillline, because an ish pofina slan as the Stirmacher. Is good go start in the Hillline. Is good go start of like clear maar no rinnu an bad im like clear. Agus beach with the Garagon can walk an bad. No a vaisha sobalte. So ni Hokomisha is talking in Aragon to learn who read the black clear with Gaida. Make said him he good law. Go scale go law I can tell it, shin. Came for agus by Missoula Fragra Stomershire came for na faded a Churistrak or Hala Tidim agus Fanacht and Davi. Ferchend and Wildram Sasta, Queer Cudity, agus multi Furfa Cuderai, Ghanaian Hostas, Dunstad. Agus Niekim Kiel na Reason, Leshan Rudda Togora, Gaffer, a Vrisher Lyro, Tigum Gagar, a Chud or Hala Tidim, Reason to Lua. A Tasha Lion Chin, a Phantom Nianta, agus Noscalor already, the Noscalor already Elicitir shop. Fitted to rudder orgel a fair ward, agus go hobben, carry in the Mairach. Tabad chin on, or honey the bad new Gahari. So Fogan, Haviela, or Hala Tedim, agus Fekmik Harlos.
Well, my good. Minister.
Bhánam buchas bháil dus a teachtaí a chur an diaspora seo faoi bhráid an Dáil agus tuigim na fáimh natá luúte goibh agus tuigim gur chúis an a bhaca meach diasporacht an seo ar an scéal seo agus tá mé tógant an diaspora seo ar ceann an ara níl sé seo agus ní féidir an aparálibh an mud seo léamh agus in dhéag sin go méidir go féidir linn cruú bheith idir an Ryan agus Sinn Féin agus Daoine eile for further and catching the play in this mode. I'd like to thank the deputies for raising this matter. I take it on behalf of Minister Hogan, who's unavoidably absent, and I acknowledge the geographic makeup and the sincerity of the views expressed, and I'm reading this for and on behalf of the Minister and the Department. And as I said, when we've finished this debate, I think what might be important is try and have a meeting between everyone. When I read the contents and you reply, maybe a meeting between everybody concerned to see what outcome, if any, there can be. As deputies will be aware, the Naomh Eanna was built by the Liffey Dockyard and launched in the late 1950s. It served as the Galway to Iron Island ferry until 1988, and I did travel on it a long time ago on my first trip to the Iron Islands. Agus Vishay. The vessel was purchased by the Irish Nautical Trust and moored at Grand Canal Dock in 1989, where it could no longer meet the health and safety requirements to operate as a passenger-carrying vessel. A number of businesses rented out portions of the vessel. However, a report on the hull condition of the vessel, commissioned by the Irish Nautical Trust in April 2013, highlighted serious safety concerns. Based on the report's findings, the Irish Nautical Trust issued a notice to vacate on both businesses operating from the vessel. Due to the condition of the vessel, insurance was unobtainable, and the Irish Nautical Trust was unable to finance repair of the ship to bring it up to a standard worthy to hold insurance. Aware that the Irish Nautical Trust had little or no funds available, and given the health and safety implications arising from the condition of the vessel, Waterways Ireland offered to arrange for its removal and disposal on the Trust's behalf, subject to the agreement. I am advised that the Irish Nautical Trust has confirmed its approval to Waterways Ireland to dispose of the Naomh Eanna on its behalf on the grounds of health and safety risks. As the property owners of the Grand Canal Dock, Waterways Ireland has taken responsibility for the vessel to address the liability represented. In this context, Waterways Ireland has liaised with the relevant stakeholders on issues regarding the vessel. This has included the Heritage Division of my own department. In that regard, I am informed by the Underwater Archaeological Unit that the Naomh Eanna is not considered, in quotations, a wreck, as it has been in constant use. It is not 100 years old or over, and is not associated with any historical event. There is no legislation that requires that this vessel be preserved or protected. It is considered that the suggestion that it is an example of the shipbuilding techniques used in the Liffey docks in the 1950s does not in itself justify the expense that would be involved in its preservation, advises the Department. The MV Killarney, which was built in the Liffey docks during the same period, has already been restored fully at considerable expense and is afloat and used as a restaurant in Dublin. I am also informed that Waterways Ireland has consulted with Dublin City Council and has been advised that the proposed scrapping of the vessel is not in contravention of the Strategic Development Zone Plan for the North Lots and Grand Central Docks, an issue that I understand has been alluded to in some correspondence. It should be noted that the Naomh Eanna has deteriorated substantially in the past 20 years and presents a real risk in Grand Canal Basin. Accordingly, significant investment would be required, which is acknowledged by everybody here, to bring the vessel to the point where it would be safe and insurable. To mitigate the risks, Waterways Ireland is moving the Naomh Eanna to an adjacent dry dock under a short-term licence agreement with NAMA, from where it will be dismantled under contract. The vessel's condition will not support its movement out of the dock, and I am advised by Waterways Ireland that this is the only practical way of ensuring the vessel does not actually sink in the main dock, thereby giving rise to additional expense. Under the terms of the contract, the ship will be temporarily secured in the dry dock to prevent unauthorised access. Planned works are centred on protecting the dry dock, which is a protected structure, rather than preserving the hull of the ship. The advice is that extensive work entailing considerable additional costs will be required to preserve the already unstable hull. While in dry dock, the boat will be unsafe for access, as it presents considerable risk to the public. Although security can be provided, if the ship is to remain for a longer period, extensive measures would have to be taken in the interest of safety, such as insertion of bulkheads to prevent risk of collapse. This would add significantly to the costs already incurred by Waterways Ireland to remove the liability from the main dock, which it is not in a position to fund. I can also advise that any artefacts from the vessel will be returned to the Irish Nautical Trust. Finally, against the background of the serious health and safety issues arising in the context of this vessel, which I have outlined, and in the context of clarifications that my department has received from Waterways Ireland, it is difficult to see a basis for preventing the disposal of the vessel, or indeed for providing a 6-month opportunity for the Marine Heritage Restoration Specialist, Irish Ship and Barge Fabrication Company, to provide a plan that would attract investment in this vessel's restoration.
Deputy Humphreys. 1 minute, thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I'll just address a couple of points. Minister, I have no problem with it being moved to dry dock to protect the ship, and also I take on board that the dry dock itself, which is a very important structure, should also be protected. The proposal we have doesn't mean any state expense. So I don't think your answer in that clears that. The trust that has come together to preserve this ship has said they want to move a business plan forward with no state expense. As a matter of fact, I was just informed this afternoon that there's up to 48 volunteers experienced in restoration from both sides of the border are ready, willing and able to provide assistance in securing the ship and make sure it doesn't deteriorate. Can I, Minister, take you up on your offer? I do believe that there should be a meeting next week, if at all possible, with all the deputies that are here and also with the Trust, to see can we explore a mechanism to protect this. You can see from the coalition that's in the House, this is not just a single or a backyard issue. We want to preserve what I believe is a very historical boat because it's riveted. I think its connection with Galway and the connection with Dublin. And I certainly would be supportive of the ship going to Galway, but I think it's very important that we make sure that we preserve it in the first instance. There is a trust there. We're not talking about any cost to the state. All we're talking about is time to allow a business plan to come forward, to preserve this very important ship. Thank you.
Deputy Collins.
Just following from that, and I think I would concur with the points made previous, all we're asking is for a 6 months reprieve to allow the possibility of a business plan to be put forward, and the point has been made that this trust has restored the MV Killarney, as you pointed out earlier on, and they were part of that, and they see the merit in trying to protect this particular ship. If after 6 months it can't be done, I think it can be looked at again in relation to what happens to the ship. But I certainly would like to give it that opportunity, at least to allow those groups to come together and the community and the respective interests here to see what can be done. And I would agree that pulling together a meeting as quickly as possible to look at the issue.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy Coyne.
I'd just like to concur with the previous speakers in relation to, first of all, very much welcome opportunity for a meeting that can be arranged as soon as possible. And again, to reiterate that no state money, we're often here on all sides looking for state money for various projects. No state money has been sought. What has been sought is a delay to allow this company to prepare a business plan, to look for investors, to save this. There are certain things, and many things indeed, that the state has done that in hindsight they will regret doing. And this could be one of those, that they regret scrapping this, because I think, you know, we've all toured various cities in the world. I've had the opportunity to see a few places, and I've toured a submarine or a naval vessel, wherever it might have been, and you know, it's an experience. It's a tourist experience, and I think that potential is there in this case. You know, I think the opportunity must be given to this group to try and secure this piece of maritime heritage.
Thank you. Deputy O'Keefe.
Tariscindíana gomach crúnú an teachtain seogaí agus tásúlam go gloisiúmút faoi sin agus is dóilim gur duncan cín a bhechan sin. A chu nó bheh mit tasúla de Dáilín nach dárlach tada go mádach go gurfi hala téidir mé. Dean tú sa bhreagra agus ghlacham leis óibn dlíe nach chuir seo ceangate le héin ócaid mhór stairú. Ach bhí muid a gcónaí caint inis stair a phobal, nach manan a stair tíreach le daoine mór le rá. Agus seo stair. Mar nuair Jimmy an báid sin, Jimmy an córas a bhí an ag an Naomh. Go dtéach an bád amach in Ismán agus go in Síras, ní heach sé le céibh agus hagad na corachaí amach. Agus bhíocht na baí go dairn cin ní na corachaí, snáb amach dí an bád. Is saoil eile ar fada. Bhíocht páistí go numparsteach na corachaí go dtí na hiile. Ní hála sé sin buchas le dia, ní hála sé go brach na brethe ríist. Ach is cuid go stair na tíre seo. Gró lehéid ar bon ar na hiile. Bhí an bád anna fáhád. As a hála tú caint ar stair, freisin úsáid an bád seo. Dúsáid artaí an bád le haon an scanan amháid rinne siad to tríte. Agus nuair bhíoh callan a gailge go sasanna sa scanan sin, is a goil isteach ar máid sin a bhí sé. Ní bád amó in nó léire. So tá ceangal stairú le hócaide. Harbh stairú ag go máid sin. So, coppla mí sinna méid atá testáil, go mar teisiigh daoine, agus baid beag an Islandáil a gceist, agus féidir go mar costas beag ar isci beala éireann, nach ní dóilamsa go meach sé súntasach i ggóthéachs. An maithas a bhéiteach sé seo dionna da gúnó faoi é. Agus má tá géirí eisiomsáid gon rud a bhéit go bheith gceist, níle déanana goil go dtíon féin agus goisteach ar an flying boat and shit.
Thank you very much. That completes that topic.
Just finalise ghlacham leis an méid tarráte ag teachtain seo agus déanam dhíthil an cruinne sin a bheith an colú agus féidir agus just say that I accept what you're saying, the genuineness of your views. I'll express them to the Minister of the Department of Media and seek a meeting with the accountable bodies, including Waterways Ireland, I presume, in the department, to see if anything can be done. Yeah, what generation? Okay, Carmelo.
I